My name is Milan Hulsing. To start, I've been publishing comics now for around some 15 years or 18 years, I guess. So I started out in like small magazines, and I published my own comics. Was sort of a subcultural thing, and gradually I started to make more ambitious stories. You know, my wife, she got a job in Cairo, so she asked me, like, would you like to go there? You know, we've got kids, so it's sort of a situation. But I said immediately, yes, please. You know, I love to be abroad and to experience. I made a graphic novel about 130 pages, and it's based on an Egyptian novel from 2005, I think. It deals with corruption and, you know, human rights. I used to write my own stories, but you know, being in Egypt, the story you might end up telling is the story of an outsider, you know, somebody from the West. I didn't really feel like making such a book. So I decided to use somebody else's insights. And this writer, he's been around since the 50s, I guess. He's an old man now. And when I started working on the book, we've been living there for 2.5 years already. So I met lots of people and I talked to lots of people and I traveled a lot. And at that time I had a lot of friends I could use for information. There's a very prolific publisher by the American University Press in Cairo. It's huge. And they publish this author, they published all his work. And it was suggested to me because, you know, I'm very, you know, in my older work, people say it's a bit like Kafka, you know, it's about bureaucracy and about people being trapped in their lives. And this book is about, you know, a civil servant in Cairo who's basically miserable. He has a job, he doesn't produce anything as a civil servant. So he starts to use his imagination actually to corrupt the system, to drain money from the system by inventing a small town somewhere along the Nile. So he forges this town. He invents a whole police force for this town, and he collects the money. And then he's forced to write all these reports, you know, because it's not as simple as he's believed the plan would be. So at night he's forced to write all these reports about police business. In the end it turned out to be quite to the point, you know, because at the moment the book came out, you know, the revolution happened at Tahrir Square. So it's sort of relevant. It turns out to be a relevant story. Doing two projects right now. I'm doing again a graphic novel, but it's my own story, and it's not at all like this. It's more of an allegory, like set in a sort of fantasy. It's not fantasy, like magical realism, a strange story. And then we're trying to get a license for another book I want to rework, but it will be a Dutch book. It's like one of the classic Dutch pieces of literature from the 50s. I basically grew up in the 80s, you know, and I discovered all these, you know, it's the golden time of European, you know, and at that time it wasn't meant to be art or literature. It's just, you know, it blows your mind, you know. There's a lot of science fiction and like Möbius and I loved Hugo Pratt and Milo Manara, And then when I studied at the art academy, I got interested in like Charles Burns and Daniel Klaus and the whole raw thing. And now I sort of rediscovered the European comic, actually. So for the book we talked about, I am very much influenced by Lorenzo Mattotti and then Pascal Rabaté. You know, his Ibicus book is very impressive. This is a record shop by my best friend Edo. It just opened last week, and you know, like Edo, I've been traveling a lot, and I'm a big, collector of music. I have a problem to contain myself if it comes to records, you know. So I already want to ask you, like, are there record shops in Lucca? You know, I'm always sort of distracted by it, and this is my sin, absolutely. So, but you know, it's probably it's for the better, you know. Otherwise, I would be an alcoholic, or you know. So it's a good, clean, healthy addiction.